Hi there. It's May 25th and we're continuing our progress through the book of 2nd Samuel in the Hebrew structure of the scriptures. This is part of the former prophets, the Nevi'im Rishonim. And here we come to chapter 7 and 8. So David, having returned the Ark of God to his new capital at Zion in Jerusalem, he's also built himself a fine palace of cedar wood, but as he is taking his rest, he realizes that the Ark of God, this important center of worship of Israel, is housed just in a tent. And he thinks, well, here I am in a nice house. I'm going to build a house for God. So that concept of a structure that will house God's presence comes to David. And actually David's prophet, the prophet who's close to him, Nathan, says to David, go ahead, whatever you feel in your heart, do it. I'm sure it'll be fine. But then God speaks to Nathan in the night and tells him that no, actually, I don't need a house. In fact, God is quite clear about this. He says, I've never had a house. When I traveled with people in the desert, I stayed in a tent and in a dwelling place, in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and I don't need a house. But actually what I'm going to do instead, says the Lord, go and tell David that I'm going to make him a house, and that is I'm going to make his throne secure, and I'm going to establish his throne forever as a throne over Israel in a way that I didn't do with Saul. And so Nathan goes to David and he tells him this, and David is overwhelmed. David is so grateful because he didn't expect this, and it's the Lord speaking back to him. He has the Lord's favor and the Lord's heart. Then in chapter 8 we have the picture painted of David's great military victories. He is establishing himself and pushing his borders out wider, and so he overcomes, subdues the Philistines finally. He subdues the Moabites down to the southeast, and then he also, in fact, perhaps more importantly, subdues Hadadezer of Syria, of Damascus, and he takes Damascus and he puts garrisons there. He establishes troops. He occupies the area of Syria, and as a result, King Toi of Hamat, which is another town, another Syrian city, sends delegation of his son Joram to David with peace gifts and with rich offerings, which David then dedicates to the Lord. And David basically establishes garrisons all around in Edom, in Edom. He establishes garrisons there, and he makes himself very secure in his reign and in his kingdom, and actually pushes the kingdom's borders right up to the river Euphrates. This is perhaps the most extensive that the kingdom of Israel will be, and it's under the reign and the rule of David. An interesting thing comes out in these chapters concerning the Lord's dwelling place. The Lord never actually commanded the building of a temple. He never commanded the building of a building. It was in David's heart to do, and obviously later on Solomon, his son, actually carries that out and builds the building. But God never actually commanded it. Why? Because God is a mobile God. God is a God who is on the move, and God was really happy being in a tent. In fact, he wasn't confined to the tent, because if we remember, he moved in the cloud of fire and the cloud of pillar, and he would go ahead of his people, and when he moved, the people followed him. It's a real sign for us not to become settled and not to become focused on things, on material things, because God isn't. God is a God who moves. God is a God who develops, who goes forward. And the most important thing is the heart. The most important thing is our relationship with him, not the structures we build for him. Have a very good May the 25th.